The proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to Luke. When the days for Jesus' being taken up were fulfilled, he resolutely determined to journey to Jerusalem, and he sent messengers ahead of him. On the way, they entered a Samaritan village to prepare for his reception there, but they would not welcome him, because the destination of his journey was Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven to consume them?" Jesus turned and rebuked them, and they journeyed to another village. As they were proceeding on their journey, someone said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus answered him, "Foxes have dens, and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head." And to another he said, "Follow me." But he replied, "Lord, let me go first and bury my father." But he answered him, "Let the dead bury their dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God." And another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first let me say farewell to my family at home." To him Jesus said, "No one who sets a hand to the plow and looks to what was left behind is fit for the kingdom of God." The Gospel of the Lord.
Our Gospel for this Sunday comes from the 9th chapter of St. Luke. We have been reflecting on freedom, the freedom of a true disciple of God. In the first reading, we saw Elisha, who was called by God to succeed to Elijah, the great prophet. And he showed great freedom. Of course, he asked permission if he could say goodbye to his parents, which Elijah gladly granted. But then he disposed of all his property and gave it to charity. He fed his people. Now free, no more hindrance, he could give himself totally, freely to his mission. In the second reading, we find St. Paul reminding the Galatians that true freedom is a gift from Jesus. He has set us free. But freedom does not mean giving in to every dictate of the flesh, doing what we want. No, freedom is freedom to love. And when you love, you will not do anything against your neighbors and against God. That is a return to slavery. So freedom as Jesus' gift to us, but we have to be vigilant to keep faithful, to keep our fidelity to the true spirit of freedom coming from the spirit of love. In the gospel, we find Jesus, the model for us of true freedom. In this passage, Jesus with his disciples are on their way to Jerusalem in order to face his death. Now, who would want to go to Jerusalem knowing that there you would be arrested, you would be tried, and you would be put to death? But Jesus is not hindered by self-protection, not hindered by cowardice. He is aflame with love for the Father, love for humanity. And this love enabled him to be totally free to face his destiny, even if that destiny is humanly unpleasant. Now, on the way to Jerusalem, they had to pass through Samaria. But the people of Samaria, knowing that they were on their way to Jerusalem, therefore these were Jews, blocked it. And John and James proposed that they punish the Samaritans. Again, Jesus, the model of true freedom, said no. He even reprimanded the disciples for wishing ill, wishing something ill on the Samaritans. So again, the freedom that St. Paul talks about, not giving in to anger, not giving in to the drive to take revenge, but pure love, even towards those who have rejected him. Again, freedom. And they went through other towns. Let us turn to Jesus, the model of the one sent by the Father on mission. And nothing, even death, could not prevent him from fulfilling his mission. True freedom. And also freedom from the dictates of emotions, anger, thirst for revenge. No, even towards enemies, even towards those who persecute you, you should be totally free to love, as St. Paul said in the second reading. Now, the second part of the gospel moves our eyes to potential disciples. The first person said he would follow Jesus. Now, I'm tempted to tell this person, you want to follow Jesus? You really want to go where Jesus is going? Do you realize he's going to Jerusalem? Do you realize he is going to a dangerous moment of his life, facing a dangerous moment? You really want to go with him? Now, Jesus must have read the mind of this person and said to him, the foxes have lairs, the birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Jesus is telling this potential disciple, look, are you really free to follow me? Remember, following me will bring discomfort. I am homeless. I have nowhere to lay my head, and I am going to face my death. Are you free, really free to follow me? My dear brothers and sisters, when we follow Jesus, what are we looking for? Are we looking for comforts? Are we looking for the benefits of following Jesus? Do we follow Jesus so that our life will be smooth? There will be no more hardships? Jesus is reminding us, hey, if you follow me, you will experience a lot of difficulties, and you may even experience the hardships leading to death. Are you free? Are you free to face those things? Do we love Jesus enough to bear with discomforts just to be able to follow him? Now, Jesus called another person, but this person said, oh, let me bury my father first. Okay. And another person said, wait, I will be your follower, but first let me take leave of my people at home. And Jesus here departed from Elijah. Remember in the first reading, when Elisha asked permission to take leave of his parents and his people, Elijah said, go right ahead. But Jesus here said, whoever puts his hand to the plow but keeps looking back is unfit for the reign of God. And to the first person, he said, oh, let the dead bury their dead. Come away and proclaim the kingdom of God. Is Jesus being harsh here? Is Jesus lacking in understanding? Is Elijah really a more compassionate prophet compared to Jesus? Well, my dear brothers and sisters, remember, you have someone greater than Elijah here. This is not just a prophet. This is the Son of God. And he can require of us complete fidelity, complete commitment. Jesus is not teaching abandonment of our parents and family. Jesus is not teaching us, his disciples, to harden our hearts and not to mind people, especially our own. No. Jesus is telling us here, if you are serious about following me, you should be fully available for the mission to proclaim the kingdom of God. Yes, you must keep on loving your family and your own people, but nothing should hinder us from being available to follow Jesus and to be sent on mission. This is the freedom that Jesus wants of His disciples. A freedom that comes from love, according to the second reading. Full love of God, full love of neighbor. This is the key to being detached from anything, from anyone, and this is the key to full freedom in following Jesus. So the theme of today's readings is quite tight. Freedom from out of love, and nothing will hinder us from discipleship and missionary work. You know, once I was interviewing a couple who were preparing themselves for marriage. And when it was the turn of the groom, the potential groom, to be interviewed, in the absence of the bride, I asked him, point blank, I asked him, some people who are getting married think that this is the end of their freedom. Getting married is the beginning of captivity, even of slavery. Do you feel the same way? Of course, he knew I was joking, but it was a serious joke. And I was quite surprised. He answered, and I learned from this. He said, no, if she becomes my wife, out of love for her, I will be totally free for her. Nothing. No vice, no self-interest, no other woman could prevent me from being totally free for her. So anytime she needs me, anytime she calls me, I will be there. I said, my God, wow, this man is prepared to really take on the mission of being a good husband and father. Freedom to fulfill my mission. And you could see he was madly in love with his wife. The word has been exposed. Let us now fulfill it.